Welcome back to AM Northwest. Before you go on a first date, make sure you know how to keep yourself safe. Here with her first date checklist, we welcome back relationship and dating expert, Kelly Marie. Great to see you again.
Hi, great to be here.
Okay, so the first date is always an interesting one. And you really do have to think about being safe, especially women, men too.
Men too, women. And I just, all of this is directed mainly for people that are meeting on a dating app on the internet and don't have any connections. There's different rules if you've been in the same social circle, but if you're meeting someone, they're a stranger off the internet, no matter how many interactions you've had.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't matter how many times you've talked to them over the phone or texted.
You don't know if anything they're telling you is true and real and who they are and what they stand for. And how safe they are. You just don't. So I try to come up with a checklist so people can balance the fun that you should be having on a date with safety, right? You just got to be safe.
The first thing is create a Google phone account, which I never knew was possible till you.
Yeah, and it's kind of like my number one thing that like someone will say, like, what's the number one thing if you're going to tell someone to do it is create a Google phone account. If you don't do that, if you give someone your telephone number, they can find your home, they can find your full name, they can find out all the information that makes you vulnerable, and they've seen pictures and maybe they have a crush on you, and this is for men and women. So please don't give out your real phone number and just go get a Google phone number.
Okay. And then you say, did you do a phone call or a Zoom first?
Right. And so a lot of times, some of my clients will do this too. Like they'll say, oh, I met him and it was a dud date. And I'll say, did you have a phone call? And they'll, no. Texting is very different than a phone call. And sometimes your vibe doesn't work. Sometimes somebody comes across really kind of not very charismatic over texting, but then they can be very charismatic on the phone, or vice versa. Sometimes people come across as very interesting over text, and then you talk with them and it's kind of like, wow, this is a very different vibe. So getting that phone call, it's just going to save you the trip, the makeup, the energy. And my goal is for anybody, and guys too aren't putting on makeup, but just the energy it takes to go meet a stranger and go through all the hi, so how many kids do you have, and all the small talk, because you don't want to burn out. You want to have the energy to continue dating till you find your person.
Right. And I would think too that at least a phone call, you hear a voice and you hear the energy, which is so important.
Exactly.
And as you said, kind of the vibe. Yeah, because you want to make sure you're not going to be bored.
Exactly. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is be counting down the minutes till you get to not be across the table from someone.
Right.
It's no fun for anyone.
So clearly that's happened. Okay. All right. And you say first meeting, plan it correctly.
Yeah. So you want to plan your first meeting. You want to have a start and an end time. For that reason, if it's like, okay, this isn't working, you say, hey, I can meet. I love for people to meet in the daytime, if at all possible, on the weekend, if you're working during the week, or when it's daylight out after work is fine. But just once it gets darker, you have to start kind of controlling for other factors. So daylight, early, start and end time, just a meet and greet. And I usually say a cup of coffee. I really do not think that anybody should be having a drink or alcohol on the first date with someone that's a stranger. That's just my opinion. People do it, and it works out fine, but I do not. I would highly recommend not to.
Well, and especially it's springtime now, have it outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Plan an outdoor date in a well-populated area.
Well-populated area, not something that you
no hikes.
No hikes on the first date.
Little private little routes.
I know, and like sometimes you can be like, oh, there's this loop around the lake, but there can be kind of secluded areas and stuff. You really want to make sure that if you're going to be out, if you're going to do an outdoor date and do like the walk on the waterfront would be fine. There's tons of people.
Absolutely.
Like there's places to go, but don't go to the secluded places. You want to make it hard to be a victim. You don't want to be an easy target. And if you say with someone, hey, I'm not comfortable with that, let's do the waterfront, they're going to hear, I'm going to protect myself. I'm thinking. And if they have anything that's against your best interest at heart, just subconsciously, they're not going to be as interested in you, which we want. We want to deter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tell someone and share where you're going to be.
Absolutely. You always share where you want to be, where you're going to be. You tell someone, maybe even share your location, but you also want to tell the person that you're meeting, because you don't want to make it easy for us to find you after something's happened. You want to make it so that if somebody was planning to do something to you, they now know there's a higher chance that they'll get caught and they're deterred. we're trying to take the target off of your back for men and for women.
Yeah. And so if you tell someone and you let your date know, so I told my friend Susie where we were.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I was like, oh wow, somebody's monitoring this. And
Yeah.
a little sneaky trick I have is say, yeah, I'm going to be texting at some point in this date to let her know. And you don't tell the name of the person. And I say you want to have a secret code word like meatball. Like if I don't put the word meatball in the text, you know something's wrong.
Okay.
Because you never know if you could be under duress, being forced to text or something.
Right.
So you just put those little codes in. You don't tell all of it, but you let them know that someone's monitoring, and then you can relax because you're like, I've got some backup system. Somebody's got my back. I can have fun with this.
Yeah, and keep your address to yourself.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah, don't
no
do that.
picking up at your house.
No.
Even though it's gentlemanly behavior, you can't do it with a stranger off the internet.
Absolutely. All good tips. Kelly Marie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.